Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are having an awesome day today. So today's video is going to be about my top 5 tips for entrepreneurs and people who are interested in that lifestyle. Maybe they don't even know what an entrepreneur is and they're just curious. And these are 5 things that I wish I knew, because if you guys have been following my videos, I forget if I have talked about it or not. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, I dropped out of community college because I was absolutely miserable. I hated it, and I vividly remember moments where I was sitting in class. I went to Santa Monica City College. I remember things where I was sitting in class and I just would look around and be like, do other people like feel as unhappy as I do? Like, is this normal? Is it a phase? Does every college kid have this sort of like, I hate this, or like I don't know, is this how you feel about something you love? Like, I was just very confused, and I soon realized that school is not for me. It's not going to help me get to where I want to get, and that is totally okay. And I want to make this very clear that I totally believe that there are so many different types of smarts in this world. You know, there's not just academic smarts. There's athletic, artistic, like acting, just so many different types of like music, creating, artist, like just every type of thing. I believe that everyone is smart in their own way, and the kind of like where I grew up, the cookie cutter lifestyle of like, get a 4.5 in high school. And I'm not bashing on people who are really smart academically and can get a high GPA, but just the way that the town that I grew up in, it was very like, if you're not academically smart, then you're not smart at all in life, and you're never going to be anything and succeed. And so that's not how I was raised in my family, but the town that I grew up in was very like, you have to get 4.5 and then you have to do this, and it's kind of like you have to burn yourself out and just like this race to nowhere, and if you don't do a good job, then you're never going to amount to anything. But so this list is, yeah, 5 things that I wish I knew when I first started, because I think that for me, going to school, kindergarten to like 14th, like out of high school, 2 years out of high school, all those years, you kind of just get like conditioned to have this way of thinking of like, okay, like there's a logical reason for everything, and like A, then B, then C, then D, and things, are laid out, and there's a flow to things. But then being an entrepreneur, it's like like full 360, like the total opposite. And it was really frustrating at first, and I didn't get why I was having like such a hard time kind of just like, free balling it. But it's because like our minds, if you go to school for that long of time, you just, that's what you're around and you absorb it, this way of thinking. And so being an entrepreneur, it's like the total opposite. And it's like, you just start, and there's not really like a B C D, like a logical plan for everything, and you kind of just go with it. So this list, I hope it helps anyone who's watching who wants to be an entrepreneur, is kind of confused on where to start. Because one of my favorite stories to tell, it's like when I dropped out of school, I kind of just went on like a 5-month journey of just trying whatever felt good to me, and it like just improv classes, volunteering, and I literally would just sit there and be like, does this feel good to me? Yes, no, okay, then I won't do it. Like that was the first time in my life where I actually like sat and just listened to myself and really connected to myself. And then the first thing I ever did was I don't know if these are my first copy. I made just business cards. I literally went online and just made business cards. And my first like version of my business cards just said like life coach. And I didn't really know what that meant, but it just kind of felt good to me. And I just knew that I needed to start. I wasn't really concerned about like, no, but then I have to meet this person and this has to work out this way. It's like, you really have to just get over that part of yourself that wants a solid plan and comes up with the excuses of like, no, I need the perfect supportive friend group and then I'll start. No, I need a boyfriend and then I'll start. Because trust me, I came up with all of those. For months, was like, no, I'm not pretty enough. I'm not skinny enough. I'm not qualified enough. I don't have enough followers. Like literally every excuse just came up, because that's what happens when you're, doing anything new or following your passion. All the self-doubt, it's like emotional growing pains start coming up, because you're pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. You're trying something you've never tried before. So all this stuff starts coming up. It's like you don't deserve it. You're not pretty enough. Who do you think you are? You're too fat. Just like literally anything comes up. But so when I first made these business cards, I had no idea what to do. I I think I like Wikipedia. Like I knew what entrepreneur meant, but I think I just Googled like entrepreneur and I looked on Instagram and I was just like, what does this even mean and stuff? And I was looking at other people, but I also didn't realize that I was looking at other people and what they were doing. So that kind of made me start comparing like, okay, well, this person is an entrepreneur and they're doing that. So that's what an entrepreneur is. But really, that word entrepreneur, every it means something different to everyone and everyone has their own definition of it, and every entrepreneur is doing different things. Some are in tech, some are in like web development, some are in content creation, some people are in clothing, beauty, life coaching, spiritual stuff, like anything. You'll meet a crazy wide range of people who do it all. But when I first started, I literally made business cards, and I had no, like, when I emphasize I had no idea, I completely mean it. I literally had no idea. It was like it was literally like reaching in the dark. I was like, okay, I'll try that kind of. So I made business cards and I spent one day, I drove around to every single Whole Foods in LA. There was like 16 or 18, I think. So it was a long day. And I would put my business cards on, the bulletin boards, like by the bathrooms in Whole Foods, like the community boards or whatever. I literally, and I was so nervous too. I put on sunglasses and like a hoodie, and I just like ran and like put them on the bulletin board of every Whole Foods. And it was uncomfortable and it made me nervous and a lot of self-doubt, and I was not ready for it, but I still did it. And that is the first thing of my five things of my list of, the top tips of being an entrepreneur and what I wish I had known. So the first one is just start. Start when you're uncomfortable, start when you think, because you're never really ready in life, and the excuses that come up is just procrastination, and nothing is ever going to be perfect in life. And I have this thing on my wall that I love, and it's like a quote thing, and it says, great people do things before they're ready. And that's so true. It's because you just have to just do it, and everything else will fall into place, because that is what I believe. I believe in like the universe and law of attraction and spirituality, and like, when you take one step forward towards your passions or towards the right relationship or whatever it is, the right career, like so many things are going to come to you that you don't even know. Like when you just take that little, like you're scared, that little first step, you're just like, you just are opening the floodgates to receiving the dream life that you've always wanted. So that is my biggest thing to all entrepreneurs or business owners or people who are just creative, is just start. Nothing has an order, and that just comes later. And if you're thinking like, oh, I don't have the money, and I don't have this, and I don't have that, and I don't know anyone, and I don't, just start in any way you know how. Maybe that's like, making business cards. Maybe that's making a website. Maybe that is putting up a flyer somewhere outside on a bulletin board or on like the sidewalk thing. Whatever it is, just start. There's no plan of like, okay, first you make business cards, then you make a website, and then you network. There's none of that. It can happen any way that you want it and whatever feels good to you. So just start. I know it's uncomfortable and you can be shaking and freaking out and sweating on all areas and you're like, yeah, but just start. That's like the biggest thing I can ever give to any business owner. So the second one is trust your gut. I've had a lot of, over the last year and a half, I've had a lot of projects come my way and people reach out to me who are like, let's collaborate, let's do this. And just, I've gone to a lot of networking events and you meet a lot of people, and this is a big one, because trusting your gut is just gut, intuition, hunch, whatever you want to call it. Everyone has one. It's not like a special superpower that only certain people have. Everyone has one, and when you feel it. It's just that unexplainable feeling of like, I shouldn't do that. I don't know why, but like you just have this like, just this like little voice just being like, don't do that, don't do that. And you have no logical, explanation for it, but it's there. And it's always happening for a reason. So Trust your gut. If someone wants to collaborate with you, if, you're starting a new business venture, a new side project, something just feels off with you, or you're at a networking event and you just don't really even feel safe and you just don't feel like the people have good energy, trust your gut. A lot of people when they first start out, it's like they'll just like I need to do anything. I'll do anything just to get known. I'll meet anyone, I'll do anything. I don't care about the money, like I will do anything. And it's really, easy to get in that mindset of like, you just want to be known, you want visibility, you want to be seen. I totally get it because I've been there and I'm still there. And it's hard to separate like, your wants for your business versus like, if something is not meant to be, or it just does not feel good to you, and you just know that, this feels off and I don't feel safe and these people aren't genuine and they just want to use me for money or just for whatever, you have to listen to that because that is happening for a reason and your gut never lies. It's like your mom when your mom's like, when you're like, oh my God, my mom was right. And just that, your gut never lies. And it is hard when you're first starting out and you want to do everything and you're kind of just like, when you go in, the gates open and you just run for it and you're like, let's do everything, let's meet everyone. I want to never put a limit on my potential. And that is wonderful. And that is something that I truly believe, never put a limit on your potential. But you also have to just be aware that some things that come to you and some situations that you encounter, like, may not be for you and they may not be good for like what you want to do and they may not have your best interest. So you have to trust your gut. And the more you trust your gut, the more that you're going to, open up your intuitive abilities. And that is going to help you so much in the long run because it will just save you time and energy. One situation I had a few months ago, this woman reached out to me and wanted me to come speak at an event that she was having in like Manhattan Beach or something. And of course it sounded awesome. Like when I first talked to her, I was like, oh my God, like an opportunity. Like my first thought was like, oh my gosh, opportunity. I need this because I need visibility and I need exposure and I need to be seen because that will help me get to where I want to go. And it's like in Manhattan Beach and that's so fun. And the event is like all about women. I love that. But then it's like, after I talked to her, I started getting these other feelings of like, well, something just feels off. And I didn't know why. And I talked to my business coach and he was like, well, just do what you want to do. And I just sat on it. And that's another thing I recommend is never make a decision, in one phone call, never decide what you want to do. Always, if you're in a meeting, Skype call, phone call, sit with it after for a few hours, days, whatever, by yourself, however much time you need. Just sit with it and really think about it, meditate on it, whatever makes you have, the most clarity, go outside for a walk, be in nature, whatever it is, really sit with it and think, is this going to benefit me? Is this really what I want? Or is this like, ego stuff or like my highest best self stuff? But with the woman, what I was talking about a few months ago, I didn't end up doing it because I just couldn't ignore these gut feelings of, this just does not feel good to me. And it's like it's like your mind is like divided into two, and it's one part is like, no, do it, you need the exposure, it's great. And then another side of you is like, but something just feels off and I don't know why, because she's selling me all these wonderful things and it feels good, but something just feels off. And you have to always trust that, even though it can be frustrating, you may not end up making the money, getting the exposure, whatever. But that gut feeling, now looking back, I'm like, oh my God, that helped me so much in the long run. So trust your gut, intuition, hunch with anything in life, career, relationships, friends, but definitely if you're an entrepreneur and you're a creative person and you're kind of trying all these projects and ventures and you're going to meet so many people and you're going to have a lot of stuff come your way of like, let's collaborate, let's do this project. You always have to know, does this feel good to me? Is this something that is going to benefit my highest good? Is this something that feels right to me? So trust your gut. Number 3 is really important. Don't burn yourself out. This is probably the most important one because I have a lot of friends who, they're in LA and they're in that mindset. And I don't know if it's just LA or every entrepreneur all over the world, but In LA, it's very competitive, very like so many driven people who know what they want to do and they just go after it, and it's just like they're money hungry, and they not just money hungry, but it's like they're so passionate about what they want to do, and that is so admirable. But I have a lot of friends who are also entrepreneurs, and they just get in that trap of like, sleeping 4 hours a night and just burning themselves out. And that is a recipe for disaster, because that is not something that you can do long term. Like, you need to be mentally and physically well and okay in order to be successful in the long run and have your business be where you want it to be, and to build an empire over a long like period of time. Because if you do that, like, sleeping 4 hours a night, going to events all day, and just driving and traveling so much, and you're exhausted, it's gonna backfire, and it's not gonna be good, and you're just gonna get, sick and tired and run down, and that's not good. It's, being an entrepreneur and being creative, it's like, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's like, pace yourself. If you're supposed to go to an event one day and you wake up and you don't really feel good, take the day off. Like, you always come first. Never forget that. I don't care what job you're in or where you live, you always come first. Your mental and physical well-being and taking care of yourself, if that is hiking, watching a movie, like, take those days for self-care very seriously. Because if you're an entrepreneur, that means you're already doing a lot. You're just running around, traveling, meeting people, doing creative things. Your body is already going to need more self-care because you're doing all that. So never feel bad for saying no to something because if you don't feel good, or that your body just needs rest. Like, listen to your body, and respect it, and don't push it too far, because that is just going to be so bad for you. And a lot of my friends, they're also in their 20s like me, and they're really young, and that's just such a bad habit to get into when you're this young, just of like the no sleep, traveling so much, going so hard. And I think a lot of them do that because they feel like every event is an opportunity, and I get that. And you never know who you're going to meet at an event or whatever, but it's also, you do have to take care of yourself, and do not feel bad for putting yourself first and taking those rest days when you need it. Listen to your body, work out, eat healthy, get enough sleep. I'm like a grandma. I don't really care. I mean, I'm not really a party person, really. I get like 8.5 hours of sleep every night because I need that. And I know I need that in order to do well in my business. I can't do well on 5 hours a night, because I know that about myself, and that would just be pointless, and it would backfire, and I would just get into like a deep dark hole of being tired and anxious and all that stuff. So don't burn yourself out. Do not get in the trap of being competitive and being like, well, this person's doing this much, so I have to do that much, because that you're in your own thing. Don't compare your life, body, career to anyone else. Pace yourself, take your time, do what makes you feel good. I go hiking every single weekend, and some days throughout, even on like a Tuesday when I should be working, because in our society, Monday through Friday is for work. If I don't really feel like doing anything that day, and I feel like, making all my business stuff into Skype calls and not driving anywhere, I'm going to do that because I respect myself, and I know that I deserve it if I don't feel good. And I'm not going to, sit there and compare and be like, well, my friend went to 5 networking events last week, so I should go to 6, and I should do that because they're doing that. Everyone has their own path, their own career, their own life lessons. So don't compare yourself. And yeah, do not burn yourself out, because that is so bad for you. And it's just not, I'll say it 100 times again, that lifestyle is not worthwhile, and it's not something that you can do for a long period of time. Like the no sleep, like chugging caffeine and Red Bulls all day long, eating like crap, you're on the road all the time, you're meeting so many people, you're traveling, you're networking. You're still human, and your body can only do so much, and you can't get mad at your body for getting sick, or for needing rest, or for just craving to be in nature, or to go to the beach, or to just be by yourself and just to have moments of reflection. Don't get mad at yourself for needing that. And some days I have that where I'm like kind of intuitively feel like I should go hiking because that is personally for me, hiking is where I get my best ideas and just my downloads and where I connect to my higher self and where I just feel so much clarity and stuff. And some days I'm like, well, I can't go hiking on a Monday because it's Monday and I should be grinding and, on that hustle and working. But then I'm like, well, what's more proactive? Going hiking where I know I'm going to get, downloads from my higher self and just get clear messages about things in my life and clear, like, nope, that's good for you. Yes, that is. Um, or doing busy work and just sending a shit ton of emails because that is, like, quote unquote, more productive than going hiking. So it's important to make that decision. What is going to make you feel better? Is it doing busy work just to do busy work and just to say, oh, I've been sending emails all day? Or is it going to a yoga class or sleeping in or getting that extra 2 hours of sleep that you know that your body needs? Is it going to a workout class, just walking around your city, exploring it, having some moments with yourself? So yeah, that is number 3. Do not burn yourself out. And number 4 is only do things that you feel passionate about. I know that when you're first starting out as an entrepreneur, it can be really easy to get in that kind of desperate mode of like, well, I have to do everything because you need that exposure and that visibility and you need people to find you and all that stuff. But also, don't do stuff if you do not feel passionate about it because you don't want people to see you doing things and they're like, oh, so Megan does that, and they could kind of get you confused and they could wonder, well, what's her brand? Is that something that she stands for? Or, and you really want to be clear about who you are and what your brand is and what you want people to know you as and what you want to represent and what you want to stand for. And what's your message? What's like your slogan? What's your logo? What do you want to get across to people? When people see your name, what do you want them to think? Do you want them to think, oh, like Megan Gallagher, okay, motivational speaker and author? Or do you want them to think, okay, well, Megan Gallagher, I kind of saw her doing this thing and that. Like, what I mean? You just want to be clear and don't do stuff if you're not 100% passionate about it because, and I don't care, if you're so, and I know it can be hard, and I'll say this again, it's hard when you're in the beginning and, you do need money and you want all this stuff and all that, and you just want to do anything and everything just to build your network and your connections and your income and all that stuff. But it's like, is it really worth it if you're not passionate about it? Because then that gets back to like, well, why did you choose to be an entrepreneur? Because you left something that you weren't passionate about. Like if I left school because I wasn't passionate about it and I hated it and I was miserable. So what would be the point now as an entrepreneur if I were to do projects that I hated and I weren't passionate about it? Because then I would be like, well, what the fuck? Like I dropped out of school just to do this? Like that's stupid. So only do things that you feel passionate about, that resonate with you, and that just feel good to you and you feel like it's worth it and you feel like, because then to me that doesn't even feel like work if you're really passionate about something. So then number 5, the last one, and I kind of already talked about this, but being an entrepreneur, it's a totally different mindset than being in school or being in the corporate world, and that can be a really challenging transition for a lot of people. It doesn't matter, what age you are, where you're from, any of that stuff. It's a big change. So be patient with yourself and understand that like your mindset is literally being rewired and you're thinking a different way, and things aren't going to happen in the corporate world like they are in the entrepreneur world. And if you've been in school for like like me or like most people for like 12 years, the entrepreneur world is totally different. And so be patient with yourself and understand that it's a learning process. You're learning, you're only human. Everything that you go through, every project that you do, every person that you meet, it's just a little stepping stone in the right direction. And we're all learning. I don't care, how high up they say that they are. Everyone in the world is always learning, and you never get to a point where you stop learning. Everyone's always learning, and they're always I think everyone is always a teacher and a student at the same time. Um, So yeah, so that is the list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know this video is kind of long. If you guys have any questions or want me to talk about one item in particular for my next video, please feel free to comment below. I really love getting your guys' feedback, and if you guys have any questions or share your story, if any of you guys are entrepreneurs or kind of feel like you're on that edge of like, I want to quit my job, I don't know what to do, please, I would love to like, give advice, share stories. I love connecting with you guys and interacting with you guys. So yeah, that is the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you really want to just leave a job or a relationship or something and you don't have a logical explanation why, but you just know that it's not serving you anymore and it's not like, to me, my telltale sign is with friends, with a boyfriend, with a job, with anything. If it feels like you're putting on a pair of pants when you were 5 years old, but you're like 20 and they don't fit and you're just like, this just isn't working. It just doesn't feel good. It feels, it just feels like I'm forcing it and they just don't fit and this is just not working. Then trust that. I know it can be scary because there's no written explanation and that's what a lot of people need, but your gut feeling is happening for a reason and, it never lies. It always is just trying to benefit you, whether it's a situation that you shouldn't be in, you shouldn't hang around these people, you shouldn't be dating that person, and it can be frustrating because you're like, no, but I want this and I want it to happen this way and it's going to be that. I believe that there is a higher source. I call it universe. You can call it God, whatever you choose. I believe that the universe, everything in life is always happening for you. So if something is happening and your gut feeling is saying, leave it, it's not for your best interest, you deserve better, you can get better, then trust that and you do deserve better. And whatever is meant for you will feel good. It will just be natural. It will all flow. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day and I'll see you next week. Bye.